Chapter 13. Jim Pooley sat upon his favourite bench before the Memorial Library, hands clasped behind his head, legs outstretched, Special Olympics souvenir edition opening his knees. Jim appeared to be whistling Money Makes the World Go Round, that or an ancient ABBA hit, but the air was constantly disjointed by contented sighs and deep chuckles. Once in a while, Jim would stretch out his arms and punch at the sky, much after the fashion of a Wembley Cup tie striker who had just hammered the winning goal into the back of the net. The sun was certainly in Jim's heaven, and all seemed very much all right with the world. Pooley was, however, finding some difficulty in coming to terms with his good fortune. Within the span of 24 short hours, he had risen from the ranks of the Normark to those of potential millionaire. In a strange way, he had almost come to resent it, basically because it was not of his own doing. He'd been betting away for years, with scheme after scheme and system after system. Then along comes Omally, who, to Jim's knowledge, had never laid a bet in his life, and the next thing you know, Eureka, Shazam, Bingo, things of that nature. And it wasn't just that. There was also O'Malley's remarkable and uncharacteristic altruism in allowing him to place the bet in his own name, even though he knew it was a sure thing. That was most puzzling. And so there sat Jim, torn between moments of rare joy and others of brooding bafflement, although it must be fairly stated that the rare joy was winning the uneven struggle. From the corner of his eye, Pooley noticed a scruffy-looking individual approaching. Normally, he would not have given a stranger a second glance, but there was something furtive and suspicious in the way that he moved, which set Jim almost instantly upon the alert. A small red warning light flashed on the dashboard of his brain. In the light of future events, those of a mystical nature might incline to the belief that our old friend, the sixth sense, was at work again. Jim, recalling a night at the Flying Swan when he'd watched a drunk who claimed to be ex-SAS roll an ordinary newspaper into a sharpened point and, to Neville's horror, drive it a full inch into the bar top, began to twist his copy of the Mercury into a clumsy sausage which might possibly have put the wind up a poodle. The furtive figure crept closer and hovered a few yards from Pooley's bench. Jim, nerves taut as fiddle strings and sagacity possibly rivalling that of the ring-tailed possum, turned upon him. "Good morning to you," said Jim. "Can I be of some help, or what?" Taking full stock of the stranger, Pooley was not all that taken with what he saw. From shiny suede chukka boots to frayed corduroys, the observer's eye led over an expanse of shabby raincoat to a grizzled face, unshaven of chin, dark of eye, and topped by a greasy fedora. Here, thought Jim, is a man whose flirtation with hygiene never led to a lasting relationship.
Jim Pooley.
Jim nervously rolled and re-rolled his newspaper. This man was definitely not Eamon Andrews proffering the big red book. Neither was he Chalky White or one of the page 3 lovelies offering to exchange a £5 note for the answer to a simple question.
You just missed him," said Pooley. "He teaches unarmed combat down at Churchill on Sunday mornings. I expect you'll find him there." "This is it,"
said the shabby man, withdrawing from his pocket something that looked for all the world to be none other than legendary Judge Colt.
"Your luck just run out."
Jim's brain struggled to encompass this sudden shift in fortunes. A Normark, a potential millionaire, and a coffin case all within the same 24 hours. Took some getting used to.
"I don't think I quite understand," said Jim, staring to what looked like the muzzle of a howitzer. "It's perfectly straightforward," explained the shabby man. "I'm going to kill you. Do you want it here or elsewhere?" "Oh, definitely elsewhere. Name the place. I'll meet you there." "Get moving."
The shabby man returned his peacemaker to his pocket and gestured with the bulge of the hidden barrel.
"I wonder where all the nice policemen are," wondered Jim. "It's funny how there's never one around when you need them." "This way."
Jim found himself being prodded down a side alley, which he knew led to a break in the allotment fence.
"You'll kick yourself when you read tomorrow's paper," said Jim. "You've got the wrong man, you know." "Get moving." "I am but a poor man, but you can have all the time I own." "I shall anyway." "What have I done to deserve this?" wailed Jim. "I haven't harmed no one. Over here."
Pooley hung his head and moved on over. The two threaded their way through the shanty town of corrugated iron huts, between well-tended plots and pastures wild. There was not a tenant to be seen.
"Stop."
"Must I?" The shabby man drew out his pistol and pressed the cold steel against the nape of Pooley's neck.
"Recommend yourself to your deity."
Jim spun round. His terror was absolute, but his nerve had not absolutely deserted him.
"Now see here," he said, "a dying man is entitled to a last request. Everybody knows that. So what is it?"
Jim fell to his knees.
"Don't kill me," he begged. "Request denied."
The pistol rose and levelled at a point midway between Pooley's eyes.
"Look out behind you," cried Jim. "Zulus, thousands of them. Do me a favour."
Jim could see the black crescent of fingernail as it drew back upon the trigger. There was a very loud bang, and then things went very black indeed. John Omally stood above the fallen twosome, spade in hand. "Wake up, Jim," he called. "It's opening time." Pooley stirred from his nightmare and found himself still staring into his would-be assassin's face. Stubble, spots, halitosis and all, went Jim, rolling smartly in a swift sideways direction. "And help." "You're lucky I saw you coming past my hut," said John, reaching down to take up the fallen revolver. "This blighty would have done for you." Pooley climbed shakily to his feet.
"What's all this about?"
he mumbled, feeling himself all over for bullet holes.
"I didn't do anything to anybody."
"I don't think Bob would agree with you."
"You what?"
Pooley was swamped by sudden realisation.
"So that's why you let me place the bet. You knew he'd try something like this."
Come, Jim. You cannot blame me for your lack of foresight. You are the victim of your own avarice. I saved your life, did I not?"
"You put it in jeopardy first."
"I would not have let any harm come to you."
"I've got a weak heart."
Pooley indicated the wrong side of his chest.
"Such a shock could have done for me."
"You'll survive."
"Give me that gun. I will deal with Bob directly."
"As you please." Omally handed the weapon to his companion. "But it'll do you no good." Pooley spun the gun upon his finger. Anger and a lust for vengeance lent him an unexpected dexterity. He sought out a short cigar from his top pocket and wondered how he might appropriate a poncho and a cowboy hat at short notice.
"And why will it do me no good?"
he asked. "Because," said John, "the gun's a replica. It's not real."
"What?"
"It was meant to frighten you, to make you give up the betting slip. Bob hasn't got the bottle to hire a hitman. This is Brentford, not Chicago, in the roaring 20s.
"I'm not so sure. Bob, as we all know, is a very sore loser."
"Oh, where am I?" groaned a shabby fallen figure.
"He's not quite dead," said Jim. "At least I might give him a slight kicking to aid him upon his way."
"If you feel it necessary," said John, "although I don't believe it to be in your nature." Pooley tossed the gun into a nearby water butt. As an afterthought, he pulled off the shabby man's chucker boots and did likewise with them.
"It's not," said Jim.
"Let's get down to the Swan," said John Omally. "I'll buy you a pint."
"Now that," said Jim, "is an excellent idea."